to when police are investigating crimes. In most places, like, obviously stop and frisk isn't really anywhere, but sometimes stop and identify, or sometimes, if the police be like, hey, what's your name? You have to give them a name or they could arrest you. And that's the lowest level of, what the cops need. So there's something called reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion means it's the lowest level. It means if the cop is walking around, say you got a shiesty on and you're like sneaking up behind cars, and say they got a call in saying, yo, I think somebody's trying to break into a car. If they stop you, if they pull up to the area, they see you and they ask you, hey, what's your name? You can't be like, whoa, what the fuck? They have reasonable suspicion that at the very minimum, in most places, you got to identify yourself, okay? In some places, you don't got to give ID, but you got to at least tell them your name, okay? So reasonable suspicion is the lowest level. It means a law enforcement officer believes that a crime is about to happen, is in the process of happen, or could happen, okay? All right. So that's reasonable suspicion. Above that, and this is where a cop could search your car, is what's called probable cause. Now, probable cause, there's a really wide range of it, because if a cop pulls you over and he eventually searches your car, whether it's a dog that sniffs marijuana and you're in a place where marijuana is not supposed to be at, right? Because it's illegal, even though it's legal most places now. That would be probable cause, right? Probable cause means that there's a probability that there is evidence that a crime has been committed. So reasonable suspicion, you could actually pull somebody over before they do the crime, but you can't really search them or nothing. You could just ask them their name. Probable cause is that there's a probability that there is there's evidence, whether it's in the car, whether it's whatever, but the cop has to have the mindset that he believes that a crime has been committed, and he believes that because the crime has been committed, there's probable cause to try to get evidence. You get what I'm saying? So that might mean, hey, I smell weed, so I want to search the car to see if weed is there. That's probable cause. Now, that's really tricky, because that's the same thing you could get indicted on, right? So probable cause literally means that, there's a high likelihood that they believe there is evidence of a crime, or there is enough evidence that suggests you may have did a crime, and that's enough to indict someone, okay? So when you hear about a grand jury only cares, and they're going to vote at the end, and this is why it doesn't have to be unanimous, it's like majority. In Jersey, it's 23 people. You got to have at least 12. Some other places it's lesser, or some other places, sometimes they'll change the amount you need. But in any place you need a grand jury, they're going off probable cause. I'll give you more examples. There's probable cause to charge you with murder if the place that you rent, that you're the only one that has access to, that you invited someone over, and later, for whatever reason, your neighbor called in saying, yo, we smell like a rotten smell. They pull up, they find out there's a dead body in your apartment. They don't know if you killed the person. They don't know. But there's probable cause to think you may have had something to do with the murder. Now, obviously, they probably need a little bit more, but still, that's what probable cause is. So once there's probable cause, now they'll charge you and you're going to go to a trial, right? So probable cause is a really low standard. And by the way, this is what they say about grand jury. They say, a good prosecutor could get the jury to indict a ham sandwich, because probable cause is not a real standard that it's like, oh, you got to know this person did it. It just has to have enough inference that this person could have done it. You get what I'm saying? So when you get to a court setting for someone to be found guilty of any crime, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, that's the highest level in the land. Beyond a reasonable doubt. This is the reason why in grand juries, it's majority in terms of the people who are voting. So if it's 23, you only need 12. In a trial, the jury that sits there, because they're going off beyond a reasonable doubt, everybody has to agree. It has to be unanimous. And that's what they consider the highest standard in the land, which is beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? So I only explained that to you to explain how things happen or cases get done. So Durk got charged on a complaint because they knew he was going to flee. And then, because what happens, if you don't go through the grand jury, you got to do what's called a preliminary hearing and present your evidence to a judge, and the judge acts as a grand jury, okay? I'm giving y'all like a law course. It's like an overall law course because it does differ state by state, also differs federal and local, whatever. Usually for felonies, they want, or serious felonies, rape, murder, RICO, kidnapping, sex trafficking, they want a grand jury to indict, okay? Which means your peers have either elected that you need to go to trial and be found guilty or not guilty, or they're going to say or it's called, so that would be called a true bill. And then the other side, so a grand jury, they give two options. It's a true bill, which means there is evidence of a crime. Okay? They're not saying you did it. There's evidence of a crime. Or there's a no bill, which means they don't believe that the police gathered enough probable cause to suggest you did that crime that you could be standing trial for it. Okay? Now, usually if it's a no bill, it's pretty much dead in the water because the cops really ain't going to get no more evidence, right? And usually grand juries don't consider the same thing twice after a no bill. But if it's a true bill, it goes to court. Anyway, I know I'm giving you a lot, and I know I'm like kind of scatterbrained because I am off the liquor at 2:00. But what ends up happening if you get indicted is that it's going to go to trial. Now, that process is usually really secretive, right? In a preliminary hearing, we saw with the ASAP Rocky thing, Rocky sat there while they were arguing it out. That didn't go to grand jury. That's called a preliminary hearing. So the judge made the determination to say, we're going to trial. That's not normal for really serious cases. Again, no one wants to be blamed as a judge or whoever to say, oh, I agree that this should go to a trial, or I don't think it should. So that's why they convene these grand juries. So a grand jury convened, and they later, after the complaint, because the complaint was just to lock Durk up before he went to Switzerland, the grand jury came back and said Durk Banks is and will stand and face charges for murder for hire. Now, through the detention hearings and paperwork put in by the government, they have realized, and this is Durk's lawyers, they have realized that they may have swayed the jury, because remember, this is secretive. Durk wasn't there. So at this grand jury shit, they usually don't invite the suspect. The suspect's lawyer doesn't get invited too. It's only the prosecutor and the grand jury. So they basically, that's why they said they could indict a ham sandwich, because you're presenting a case and you have no argue back. Nobody's to argue back. You're just saying whatever. And actually, sometimes they'll bring up a witness. They'll even let the jury people question the witness. So it's like, if they really want an indictment, they could just make it look any type of way. You get what I'm saying? So Durk and his lawyers find out, and it's kind of like very obvious, because when they're trying to make sure Durk doesn't get bail, they keep saying, yo, you can't give him bail because as established in our original indictment that the grand jury signed off on, Durk, and this is supposedly the error, Durk is a threat to the community. Not only is he a guy that operates in the shadows like King Slime, he pays for the murders. You know what he did? He rapped about someone being murdered after he paid for the murder. Now, Durk's team, they are very confident to say that's false. So if you got my client indicted using false evidence, this indictment should be thrown out. You guys should have to convene a new grand jury and go with factual shit. Okay? So his whole motion to dismiss and hopefully either dismiss the whole thing, period, which I think that's highly unlikely. But if not, get out on bail is to say the prosecutors are making up a lie against Durk. What's the lie? There's a song that Durk dropped that they claim Durk was rapping about Lil Pop's death, and Durk claims, and his lawyer claims, that couldn't have been about Lil Pop's death because we 100,000,000,000% recorded it before he died. So if you're using that song to help indict me, you use false evidence. And if it's false evidence, throw out the indictment. So let's kind of read through it a little bit. It says, defendant Durk Bankson, through his counsel of record, moves the court to dismiss the superseding indictment against him in this matter. In the alternative, he moves to compel disclosure of the grand jury minutes. So here's the thing. He doesn't know what's in the grand jury, but through reading through the tension memorandums, he could realize what they use. And he's saying, oh, yeah, I use fake shit against me. The motion is based on the memorandum. Yeah, see? The memorandum of points and authorities and all files and records in this case, such as evidence and arguments, as may be presented at the hearing. The undersigned, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So let me just kind of get through this quickly for y'all. So it says, the government presented false evidence to the grand jury that indicted Mr. Banks on November 7th. The plain language of the superseding indictment makes it apparent that the government told the grand jury Mr. Banks, through specific lyrics in his music, celebrated and profited from a revenge murder that he had ordered, namely of ASR in August 2022. The claim is demonstrably false. The song the government relied on upon as evidence against Mr. Banks, Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, was actually recorded by another artist, Babyface Ray, and which Mr. Banks recorded the feature, and could have not commercialized, and could have not been a commercialization of Mr. Banks' alleged murder for hire as the government presented or represented to the grand jury. That's because Banks recorded, so Durk recorded the lyrics before, 7 months before the incident even happened. The government's misrepresentation of superseding indictment, whether knowingly or recklessly, undermines the integrity of the grand jury true bill. The court, remember I told you, true bill means you're going forward, no bill, you don't have probable cause. So they're saying we should dismiss the superseding indictment completely, which would then go back to the level of where it was a complaint. And when it's a complaint, now they have to go through a preliminary hearing, and that's more favorable because Durk and his lawyer gets to go back and forth with the judge. But in federal court, a judge sometimes don't want to do no federal hearing, a preliminary hearing, because for cases like this, murder, they want a grand jury indictment. You get what I'm saying? Mr. Banks is a highly, okay, we don't got to read through this. They're just kind of gassing him up. So they talk about the feature, and they're claiming that he recorded his portion in January 22, and that being his last involvement with the song. A further production was done by the producers and other industry professionals, but no changes to the content and lyrics were ever made by him afterwards. And it says, outside the four corners of the superseding indictment, but more important to the court consideration, the issue of the timing and the lyrics was addressed by, okay. So they're saying there was a detention hearing. They tried to address it. To counter this argument, the counsel for the government posited to the court that even if the lyrics themselves was written 7 months prior, a version of the song was modified that added audio from a news clip. Hold on. Sorry. So they had brought up in court to say, yo, this shit's old. Like, how could you use old lyrics that was recorded before the murder to say it's evidence of Durk bragging about the murder? Back then in the detention hearing, the government said even if it was recorded and it was old, their whole thing was that you guys added a news clip. So in the song, there's a news clip, and I think we could play a little bit of it. Let's see if we can find it. Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, right? Let's go to that song. This is it. Drink, baby, pop. Here we go. Just got on. I don't beef with niggas on the net. That shit hair skills. I don't know, chat, which part of the song has the news clip in it?
though. A nigga tax. Fact I'm feeling. It's fucked up. Man, fuck the state. Tell him.
Hold on. Wonderful Wayne, Jackie Boy, lyrics. I'm pretty sure they did use that sample. I'm trying to figure out. I can't play the whole song just all through and through. Where is the sample? The sample is fuck the state. Tell him suck my dick. Oh my God. Fuck the state. Tell him suck my dick. Well, he ain't gonna tell that to the feds. With your little telling ass trendsetter. It feel like I'm the one who could bring Pelly back. Bro and him steal from me or snake me out. I'm bringing Melly back. Petty ass. Oh damn, he rapping. Petty ass ain't fuck with me like she said. Ain't get her belly wrap. I don't beef with niggas on the net. That shit fed years. One op that I hate from over there just got his head pierced. Little bitch seen them drum hanging out my pants. She said it's a Ferris wheel. I can't cap. I got a what? Just off her head skid. I had paid the half for all that drink I was sipping. $5K for a pint. I robbed him back, so I ain't tripping. I'm thinking about my brothers I lost. I'm in my feelings. It's fucked up that I'd rather get revenge instead of millions. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is pretty much why he's in jail, right? Like, the one thing about Durk raps, that nigga was spitting. He says, fucked up. I'd rather get revenge instead of millions. He pretty much did that. Yeah. He got revenge instead of probably getting more millions of dollars right now. Durkio, call me Smirkio, then it's personal. She twerked for show, told me don't come fast, took a perky though. A nigga asked me who I killed before. I like, who you working for? Say my name for clout, but in the streets, they ask gonna hurt. They ask gonna hurt you though. They told me got an addy. Go. Got location. Go. Green light. Go. Look on the news, see your son, you screaming, no. Pussy. And all them niggas hanging with them, you, if you know, you know. Where's the news clip then? Chat, where's the news clip? I mean, he's kind of, I can't play the whole thing. Hold on, chat, let me. Somebody said there's no news. Oh, there's a fan-made video that's 125. Oh, really? Oh. So there's a fan-made video. This? Oh, with Durk. But did Durk ever use this?
Steal from me and snake me out. I'm bringing them back so I ain't tripping. Gonna hurt you though. Tell me that no gang shit. Hey, babyface, this shit crazy right here. I ain't gonna lie.
Wait, where's the news clip? It's about to come right here? No, it's not there. Wait, what am I missing?
You in the middle of the crowd almost, just right above them. You know what I'm saying? Tell us what this is gonna be like. It's gonna be an out-of-body experience.
Man, fuck this.
Is it that?
Tell him suck my dick with your little telling.
It was a YouTube short? Where's the video in question? Let me go back to the... They don't have a link to it here? Usually they would have a link to it. So y'all trying to tell me that the feds use a fan-made video? No way. What video is it? No way. But that's a fan edit. That's not in the real song.
Look on the news and see your son, you screaming no. And all them niggas hanging with him, if you know, you know. Gang.
Oh, the link is in the paperwork? Oh, shit, look at y'all. The niggas is like, yo, it's in the paperwork, gang. Let's see. Let's see if we can find the link on YouTube. Oh, right here. Oh, Okay. Oh, where's the link? Quoting, Okay. The superseding indictment does charge Banks in the alleged murder, blah, blah. In addition to naming him, the superseding indictment contains one new material alleged fact that the original indictment does not. It says, after the shooting, Mr. Banks celebrated the revenge through his music. Following and the murder sought to commercialize by rapping this with explicit references, audio taken from a news clip shortly after where he screamed, no. It said the underlying falsehood. For the superseding indictment allegations, about the meaning of Banks' lyrics, they describe SR's killing and the reference media about it. Mr. Banks would have needed to pen them after that date, which they're saying he didn't. He wrote them 7 months beforehand. Then they're saying attaches Exhibit 1 to his motion, which is the declaration of Justin Gibson, that's a producer and engineer, who recorded it. And they basically said that it was recorded then. And then Exhibit 2 is whatever, who's a producer and audio engineer, who said they received the lyrics and they didn't receive any modifications. Okay. And additionally, review the open source YouTube links that were provided through email correspondence with the governments and can confirm that the audio and video, right? The audio, just follow my mouse. Audio and video clip featured an individual yelling no, reportedly from a news clips, are not from the original recording. He identifies those clips as fan edits for social media platforms that are altered, fabricated, and inauthentic versions of the original songs. Ooh, okay, Durk. Durk's lawyer is working. I wonder if that's Finland. Mr. Sheriff confirms that it does not contain these manipulated elements. He attests that creating altered audio edits are easy to do through social media platforms, and such practices often result in misinformation and misrepresentation of the original pieces of music and art. Ooh, okay. So actually, let me go to the superseding indictment against Durk. If you guys haven't been to the academy.blog, please go there if you want to see it. Let's find the superseding indictment. Criminal complaint. Where's the superseding? It's one of these. Okay. Here we go. This was a superseding indictment. So we just got to find where this whole no shit is. And they're probably going to give a link. And yet, this is a RICO, is it? Because I see overt act. RICO usually has conspiracy with it. Oh, right here. Following the attempt. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. We got to find that again because they're going to probably link it somewhere. Uh-huh. Here we go. We're going to find it in a second, chat. Oh, they probably don't put a link to it, but they should mention following Oh, that explicitly references audio from a news clip. Oh, so the feds got this wrong. Ooh. By the way, chat, this is why feds go to somebody like Adam22 to get the original version. Because once something is out, people remix, do all type of stuff, and they never know if they're getting the original version. This is why they would show up. It's not Adam's in trouble. They're just like, yo, we need the original OG version. Because now the feds, while presenting, and they probably pass it along in the AUSAs who are trying to get an indictment through the grand jury, they presented, or they, in their case, they said, oh, you know, Durk used a news clip? And the grand jury's sitting there like, what? Oh, this guy's an idiot. Of course he's got something to do with it, right? Like, if you're telling me all these other facts and he used this clip, okay, good. We're going to vote to indict him. And here's the thing. They're saying, y'all got a faulty indictment because y'all presented false information, right? They might have a point here. They might actually have a point, right? Now, we don't know if, it's a safe assumption to say this was involved in the grand jury presentation because it's mentioned here. But if on the offhand it wasn't mentioned, that's the only way Durk's thing won't be considered. Anyway, give me a second. So that is in Durk's new order, or not order, his attempted motion to dismiss this. And it says the court has the power to dismiss an indictment that the grand jury has returned based on information that the government knew at the time to be or later learned to be false. Okay, so they're saying dismiss it because this was a false indictment. The false information presented to the grand jury here compels the superseding indictment's dismissal. The false information prejudiced Mr. Banks in the grand jury proceeding. The court should dismiss the indictment because the government presented false evidence. Okay, that's their whole point. If the court is uncertain whether false information was presented to the grand jury requires dismissal, the court should order the government to produce the transcripts of the evidence from the grand jury. So he's trying to hold them to the fire. A prosecutor who knowingly secures an indictment based on false information or who allows false obtained indictment to persist routes the grand jury from its central protective function. That is clearly what's happened here. For the foregoing reasons, the court should dismiss the superseding indictment against Mr. Banks. In the alternative, the court should compel the disclosure of relevant underlying grand jury proceedings. So they're saying do one of two things. Dismiss the superseding indictment or force them to show, remember, grand jury is supposed to be secret. Force them to show the minutes or the transcripts from this proceeding that we could know if they did present this false evidence, right? Okay. Now, here we go. The judge actually seems like, they're considering this, to be honest. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Fuck. Okay, right here. So, give me 1 second. So, what is this? This is a no. So, this is an application for bail. Pretty much the judge is going to consider it. Like, I'm trying to give y'all, or not be too long-winded here, even though I'm always am. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, and here's the exhibit for the motion to dismiss. Hold on, I'll put it on screen in a second. This is just from the producer saying, this is from both engineers, the engineer for Babyface Ray and also Durk, saying, yo, that shit was not in there. Like, we put no news clip in there. He didn't change lyrics, and he recorded that shit before the murder. So Durk couldn't have been rapping about the murder that never happened yet, right? Now, granted, I do think the government would have gotten an indictment without this. I'm wondering how they're going to treat this, because they're not going to just let you off if they really think you did murder someone, because this is a technicality that Durk has in his favor. Here we go. Hold on. I'm trying to find you the last relevant page, and then we're off of this. Is it this? Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to show. Okay, so here's the memorandum. It says, Mr. Durk, and now he's trying to get out. He says, if you're not going to dismiss it, at least give him bond, because this is bullshit. Mr. Durk, or Mr. Banks, requests reconsideration of the order of detention for him pre-trial since December 12th. New information has come to light that impacts not only the veracity of the evidence presented to the grand jury, but of course the government's counsel's representation to the court at the first detention hearing. In light of these developments, Mr. Banks presents the court with a substantial bond package that mitigates any risk posed by his release on his condition. Number one, fan edits with the song. It says, in arguing for his detention, the government attempted to hold Banks responsible for video clips of YouTubers and Instagram users have edited, produced, and posted to social media, but with whom Mr. Banks has no affiliation. At an initial detention hearing, the defense called into question the accuracy of the paragraph of the superseding indictment, which references lyrics from a song by the recording artist named Babyface Ray that features Durk. They mentioned this whole got the Addy, go, go. It said the defense counsel produced an affidavit from a sound engineer, music producer, which says that approximately 7 months before this date is when they did the song. Thus, the song could have not been a commercialization by Banks' participation in the murder, okay? And could have not referenced an audio news clip that was taken shortly after, like the government led the grand jury to believe. They basically then just say, this shit was cap, okay? Following the hearing, the defense sought clarification by email about what the blah, 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 that featured both the TMZ news footage and blah, 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 and yeah. The first post was by a user with the handle OTF Edit, right? So this person posted it first. OTF Edit. Oh, the page is down. Or maybe there's a period afterwards. Yeah, it's down. Second was posted by My Mixtapes. And the videos do, in fact, contain audio and video of the news coverage, which Taekwon Bowman, which is Quan Arana, could be here screaming, but it's superimposed over the song, which means it's cap. And they're saying the critical flaw for the government is that Mr. Banks did not create these videos, and the government has failed to show any nexus between these manufactured clips and Mr. Banks. These videos are not created, posted by Mr. Banks or his discretion or direction. The internet users who posted a video or OTF edit and my mixtapes and their apparent fan pages maintained with people by people that have no affiliation with OTF or Mr. Banks. And I think here's the link to it, right? It's played, so they're right. And here's the OTF edit thing, and they said, oh, they were talking about a YouTube channel. Okay. And then my mixtapes posted.
He's pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV.
Oh, so this is another song they're saying it got superimposed in. Okay. By the way, his new proposed bond package, $900,000. Okay. So a bond secured partially in full by approximately $900,000 in equity in real properties, $1 million tendered in cash by Alamo, $150,000 tendered by Nizar Alibabi or Ali Bahia, which is an associate, home detention with electronic monitor, around-the-clock security, ensuring compliance with all conditions, reporting to pretrial, and additional third-party sureties. Okay. Now the government is going to think, the judge is going to think about this, okay? They're going to actually consider this, and we will see where it goes. Okay. Chat, before we get to Shannon Sharp, we actually do have some stuff. Let me see if I could find this to play. Give me 1 second. All right. Let's just look at this Tory interview. After the Tory interview, we're going to get straight to Shannon Sharp, so don't you worry. We're going to get to Shannon Sharp.
Yo, T. Neal in the building, Shade 45.
But Shannon Sharp, Tory Lanez did call in, and he was talking about his case. And, you know, I know we haven't heard from Tory in a minute, but this is Tory talking from behind jail. And he talked about his case a bit. And he's a little bit confused why, you know, he's even incarcerated still. And listen to the points he makes.
With what I can speak on,
Right,
is just the blatant evidence. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of this evidence was uncovered. Even though I was screaming this at the top of my lungs, a lot of the actual physical evidence was uncovered after trial. You know, there was a ton of prosecutorial misconduct from the prosecutor, things that they tried to hide and suppress, evidence that would have exonerated me that they tried to hide and suppress. But, you know, God sees all. And at the end of the day, God's been on my side. And he told me at the very beginning of this that at the end of this, not only would I get out of this, but that I would get out of this and be bigger than I've ever been.
Facts.
And I've watched everything happen into full fruition, whether or not people can see it or not. See, that's the thing about me and God's relationship. God allows me insight on things that are about.
So Smirk, he's getting hit with another case, man. I know this is a short video, but man, keep your head up, Smirk. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I feel so bad for Durk, man. Like, even though, let's keep it a bean. All the stuff that he's probably charged for, he probably did it all. Like, let's just keep it a book. We hope he beats the case. It's like ASAP Rocky in the shooting, bro. We seeing in 4K him do it. But we hope he beat the case, and he beat the case. So let's just hope Smirk beats the case. It's a lot. What Axe says is 100% true. If Durk loses case, he will go broke, and he's probably spending life in prison. So, yeah, if Durk doesn't beat this case, remember K Flock, he's basically gonna be like, man, I feel bad for Durk, man. But pray everything goes well. It's your boy Big X News. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.